Hey guys, welcome or welcome back. If you're new to my channel, my name's Caroline and I'm so glad you're joining me today. I cannot believe it's already April and March is over. I hope you all had a great March, a great St. Patrick's Day. If you celebrate, I hope that y'all had a good entry into spring. I know in Texas it's already getting extremely hot. I feel like it's already summer. Like we already had our spring in January. So it's extremely hot already here, but I know some people are still getting snow. But anyway, I hope you had a great month. I hope you had a great reading month. This month, I read 10 books, and I feel like it was all over the place. My genres were all over the place. My ratings were all over the place. My experiences were all over the place. I was kind of introduced to the world of audiobooks. I've been a big audiobook hater in the past. I haven't really understood them. They've confused me a lot, and I feel like have taken away from my reading experience when I have gone that route. But I actually got into it this month. I found some good people that read audiobooks and made audiobooks. And so I feel like once I found the good people, it changed it for me. So I did read a couple of those this month and I kind of understand it more. So this month was just a way better month than February. I've kind of gotten more into my routine with my new job and I just feel better mentally, physically. I obviously found out I have a really bad gluten sensitivity, so I've also figured out my stomach issues, which has just been really great. Like the month was just really great. That's all to say. Happy April. I hope you had a great month. I hope you have a great month. And today we are going to be talking about my March wrap up. What did I read in March? So let's get into it. The first book I picked up this month was The Plea by Steve Kavanaugh. This is the second book in the Eddie Flynn series. I read The Defense in January and I loved it. And I read Kill for Me, Kill for You in last year. I don't know when I read it last year, but I read it last year and I love that one. His writing is just so action packed. I got Micah to read The Defense this month, and he said the same thing. He was like, he literally just shoves you right into the story, right into the action in the prologue, not even chapter one, the prologue, and you're just in it the entire time. This one was no different. It was a different style of legal thriller. It's still definitely legal thriller-esque, but the first one deals more with like international mafia and mob style criminal law. This one is just different, but it's still so good. I gave this one a 5 star as well. I think I will give every book by Steve Kavanaugh a 5 star just solely because of how he writes. Eddie Flynn, his character, that character that Steve has built, is so complex. He's so interesting, but he's also so down to earth and relatable. Like, I feel like I'm his friend. I feel like I'm his friend. I was in the car with Micah and he was listening to it on audiobook after I had finished The Defense. And I remember listening to Eddie Flynn's character and being like, oh my God, I miss him. Like, he's my friend. He's my bud. And so it's a fictional character, but I really, really enjoy Steve Kavanaugh. I feel like him and Harlan Coben, they were very similar books, very similar writing style. So that one was really great. Rated it 5 star. The next one I picked up was A Stolen Life by J.C. Dugard. I think I read this at the same time I was reading The Plea. But this one is a nonfiction memoir. It is very heavy, very dark, very deep, very sad. If you don't know who J.C. Dugard is, she is a girl who was abducted when she was a child on her way to school at her bus stop, and she was kept in captivity for 18 years. And this is her story post-captivity because she escaped. And I don't want to rate this one because it was really told just in like her POV and in her memories from her childhood in captivity, which is just heartbreaking. Check trigger warnings. It is so heavy, but I do think it is so important for people to read books like that. I know a lot of people who don't even know who JC Dugard is, and I feel like she brings such a unique perspective, obviously. And it's just really, really important to learn about other people's lives and what they go through so that we can make the world a better place than we found it. And I think JC Dugard did a beautiful job telling her story, and I appreciate her so much for sharing it with us because I know that was really hard for her. So if you enjoy memoirs, if you enjoy hearing other people's stories of tragedy and triumph, that's a good one to pick up. The next one I picked up was This Book Will Bury Me by Ashley Winstead. This one was a big disappointment for me. Not the biggest disappointment of the month for me, but it was a big one. I will say I had seen a really, really horrible review for it. Before I read it, I had got sent the ARC, so thank you so much to, I believe it's, Sourcebooks. Thank you so much for sending me this ARC. I wish I loved it more. I went into it with pretty low expectations because of the scathing review I saw for it earlier. I try not to go off reviews because reading is subjective. I think it's subjective. Yeah, it's subjective. Everyone has a different experience in reading. So I was like, maybe that was just her experience. No, it was definitely mine too. I disagree with this book and the whole premise of this book. The whole, like, it's so close to the Idaho 4 murders that are like in real life. And it's just, I don't know. It was just not good taste for me. But I really do appreciate the ARC being sent to me, but I did give this one a 1 star. And with that being said, I am just not going to pick up Ashley Winstead again. I did not like In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. I did not like This Book Will Bury Me. Maybe that's my sign. So I think I'm going to say goodbye to Ashley Winstead unless she has some amazing book that everyone thinks is amazing. But so far, I have not thought her writing is like a hit. So there's that. That was a 1 star. I also didn't even finish that book. I only got like 60% of the way through, and I just couldn't. I couldn't. So let that be a sign. Let that be a sign. But thank you to Ashley. Thank you to Sourcebooks. I really do appreciate it. The next book I got into, I read in one day, I think the 8th through the 9th. I rated a 3 star, and that is My Sister's Daughter by Liv Constantine. This is a novella that I believe is Kindle only. So you really can only read it on Kindle or some kind of ebook form. I adore Liv Constantine. I love that there are a lot of political thrillers because that's one of my high interests. Like, I love politics and political thrillers. So I really enjoy that about their writing. It's also a duo of sisters that write under a pen name. And this novella was really, really solid for a novella. It was 112 pages. So I was convinced they were not going to be able to get that thrilling aspect in 112 pages, but they did it. It was really, really solid. I would 100% recommend it. I don't think it will stick with me and I'll ever read it again, but for a novella, really good. Also, thriller novellas are really hard to come by. So when I found that, I was so excited. You never see thriller novellas, but that one is about just it kind of is like The Push from Ashley Audrine. It's creepy kid, but I don't think it's like the niece, I believe. And yeah, it's just very eerie is just the mood of it. And there's a lot of distrust, familial distrust, but yeah, I really, really enjoyed that one. It was good. It was solid. The next one I picked up from the 7th through the 10th, and that was The Last Thing to Burn by Will Dean. This one, me and Micah buddy read this month together, and we both really, really loved it. I was shocked, y'all. I was shocked. So the premise of this book is a woman is being held captive by her own husband. And so in my mind, I was thinking like, I don't know what I was thinking, but I was expecting like suburban married couple. The husband is super controlling, kind of locks her away, or maybe she does get abducted, but I thought they were going to be like a normal couple, and I wasn't expecting it to be very creepy. I was expecting it to be more dramatic and like domestic thrillery. Oh, nope, I was in for it. So this book was terrifying. Terrifying. I feel like honestly it could be considered horror. Maybe I'm just, I don't know, weak. But even Micah thought it was pretty creepy. It is not a domestic thriller. This is a psychological thriller, borderline horror novel about a woman who is in a, basically she's brought over from an international country to be married to a man, and she gets to live in America. That's called something. I don't remember the name, but she's brought over and she is under the guise that she's coming over and she's been able to send money back to her parents where she's from, and she's been able to make a lot more. There was never going to be really a marriage on the table, but her and her sister both end up getting virtually abducted by these men that they agree to go over to America with. And the guy she ends up with is insane. That's a nice word. So this man holds her hostage. She ends up having a kid. So it takes you through her going from captivity by herself to captivity with a child, and how that really changes her perspective and her will to live and survive through it. And so you're following her as you go through that, and it's really scary. I want to say more, but it would be a spoiler. Okay, yeah, the kid isn't a spoiler, but it's just you're watching her through captivity and her trying to get out of it, and it was edge of my seat, like edge of my seat. And it's also really short. I ended up giving that one a 4.25 stars. I've gone back and forth on it because I'm like, I keep thinking about it, so maybe it's a 5-star, but I think I'm gonna keep it at like a 4.25, 4.5. I would 100% recommend it to anyone. The next one I picked up was my biggest disappointment of the month, and that is Night Watching by Tracy Sierra. Yeah, I don't know what people were talking about when they said this was a good book. I really don't. I waited so long for the paperback to come out. I ended up finding it on Blackwell's in the UK version, got it over here. I was anticipating this book like so much. I was so excited. I saw so many raving reviews, so many great things. I saw that it was like the most intense, like break-in, burglary, somebody in the house thriller, and I was so excited because normally those fall flat. Well, there's no reason to be excited, people, because this one was a 2-star for me. The first 2 chapters, great. The rest of it got out of hand, for real. The whole like monster thing that's happening in it, like if you've read the book, that really confused me by the end. I ended up listening to this partly on audio. The only way I got through this book was because of the audio narrator. The only reason. If I had kept reading this paperback, never would I have gotten through it, because the whole premise of the guy in the house is like a monster, and then how she wraps that up at the end and explains it, it blew my mind, but not in like a thrilling way. In like a, what are we doing? I wasted 14 hours of my life. So thank you, Tracy Sierra. and I would not recommend this. I'm putting it on my Pango. If anybody wants to buy it, I don't want it. So buy it off of me, because I'll send it to you. I don't want this book. So would not recommend that one. It was very boring. The characters, like the kids, were insufferable. The mom was so dumb. She had so many times she could leave. It's just, yeah, it was not what I was expecting, and it really let me down. So then, after that disappointment, I was like, I need something that is going to prove that I love reading again. Like, I needed to fall back in love with reading. I'm not doing a good job of explaining myself in this video, but the next book I picked up was The Unworthy by Augustina Bosterka. I always butcher her name, but this book was so good. I read Tender as the Flesh last year, and I had really high hopes, and it kind of fell flat for me. And I think it was because of my expectation. It was my first horror book. It was my first short story, and she writes very uniquely, and it's a translated novel. So I had no idea what to expect, and it ended up confusing me a lot, and I was more just icked out than scared, and maybe that was the point of that one. But I love religious horror. I love learning about conspiracy theories, UFOs, things that can happen in the near future. I love hearing people's outlandish theories and mind trails they go on. Like, that is one of my favorite things. I love talking to people about what they think is going to happen in the afterlife, and do they think aliens are real, and is space real? Like stuff like that. That's the stuff I love to talk about. And this book was that. The weird, culty, creepy, religious, environmental, doomsday horror, just, it hit so hard in this book. And the whole idea of the secret sisterhood, the secret society, and then the infected on the outside, it was amazing. I've read some reviews that are saying no, there's no backstory, you don't understand anything, you're never explained anything. Yes, but I feel like I went into that book knowing that because of the author, because of Tender as the Flesh. And I told Micah when we read it together, don't go into it thinking it's all going to wrap up in a bow, because it's not, knowing this author. And I think he said that helped him going into it. So I would say, if you're going to read it and you haven't read a book from her and this one really excites you, don't let it scare you. Definitely read it, but don't expect a lot of explanation. She leaves a lot up to your imagination. She leaves a lot up for you to determine how you want the story to go and how you want to view the characters. I personally love that. Some people don't. But yeah, don't go into it expecting it's all going to come together and you're going to understand what everything is and what everything means. She also writes very abstractly. She writes very speculatively. So a lot of it we can't even fathom in our brains because it doesn't exist. It's just something that she has in her brain, which I find fascinating and majestic. So I love reading those books. And if you do too, I would 100% recommend it. I gave it a 4.5. Micah, I think, gave it a 4. It was really, really, really cool. Really great. And if you like that one, you should totally read The Last Session by Julia Bartz. That one just came out on the 1st, I believe, and April 1st. And I had the ARC of that one, and it was one of my favorite books from last year. It's also cult religious fiction horror thriller, and immaculate. 100% go check it out. The next one I picked up was The Children on the Hill by Jennifer McMahon. I liked this one. Okay, don't get me wrong. It was a good story, but was not what I was expecting at all. This is like a psych lab, almost like a place that is running experiments on children. Maybe this is one of those where if I would have read the back, I would have known. But I kind of bought this based on the people that influenced me, and I had heard that it was very, very scary kid thriller, and it's also considered horror. Actually, I found out. I'm confused by the horror genre. If this is horror and The Last Thing to Burn by Will Dean isn't, I'm confused. Somebody needs to put in the comments and explain the horror genre to me, because maybe I just don't get it. Because this one, I don't feel like it was horror. I feel like it was, if anything, it was edging on literary fiction, just like a story, maybe historical fiction even. But yeah, it's just about like a house that's running child experiments on children, and you're following one of the main kids in the house, but you think that they're like a part of the family and everything, and you're learning her perspective on everything, one of the children of the house. And then you're also following perspectives of other people, journalists, other people that have gone through the house, the owners of the house, and the people that are running the experiments. Overall, it was a very interesting like premise. I just did not find it thrilling at all. So maybe that was just another one of those like expectation things where like I'm expecting to be really scared when I read horror, especially creepy kid thrillers are even creepier than normal thrillers, in my opinion. And that one just fell flat. I gave it a 3. It was good. I would read it if that sounds like if you like reading about like child experiments on children, or creepy houses, or creepy like psych hospitals, things like that. That may be a good book for you, but I won't read it again. I did listen to it on audio, and it was pretty decent on audio, and I read some of it in paperback, but I wouldn't like I wouldn't say it should be on anyone's priority for sure. The last two I read, I don't own. The first one is an ARC. That is Whispers of the Lake by Shanora Williams. Loved this one. I love this one. I knew I would. I knew I would. After The Children on the Hill, I was like, I need something that I know I'm going to love. And I picked up Shanora Williams' book, and it did it again. I didn't realize how short this one is. It's much shorter than her other ones, but great. Super dramatic. I love her dramatic domestic political thrillers. It was set in my home state of North Carolina, like all her other books are. So I felt a lot of connection to it and her characters. And her characters just always have the strongest relationships. And I love how friendship is always such a huge focus in her books, and friends always look out for each other in her books. And this one is literally about a friend that goes missing, and her ex-best friend has to figure out where she went. Why did she suddenly vanish? And I'm addicted to Shanora Williams writing. I can't find it anywhere else, and I can't really put it into words. It reads like a reality TV show, but like a sitcom meets like if the Kardashians met, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I was trying to say, but it reads like a TV show. You read it and you're like, you can see it in your mind like playing out. It's just very cinematic writing, and I just really enjoy it. It's super dramatic. It reminds me of reading the Kardashians if they were in the political world in rural North Carolina. Like that sounds good to me. It may not be for everybody, but it was great for me. I gave it 4 stars. Thank you so much to Kensington Publishing and Shanora Williams for sending me that book. I loved it. I loved it, and I was so excited to get a Shanora Williams ARC. That's insane. And then to wrap up the month, I ended up picking up another audiobook. I was driving around a lot for work in my city, and so I was driving like hours out of the day, and I was like, man, I just need to listen to a book in the car. So I got The House of My Mother by Sherry Frankie, and this one I am gonna rate. I'm gonna give it a 5-star. I mean, this book was so well done. This story was told so beautifully. I am so impressed by Sherry and how she's handled the entire situation. If you don't know, her mom is Ruby Frankie, the mommy vlogger gone rogue. Like she's in prison now, and there's her and her counterpart are serving sentences. And Sherry has now written a book about her experience in the house with family vlogging, and just how childhood vlogging isn't ethical. And it was really well done. I really enjoyed it. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos and documentaries on Ruby Frankie and that whole connections thing. And it was just really great to see it from Sherry's perspective. And I'm so glad she got to tell her story on her terms. And she now gets to have a life on her terms, because they all deserve that. All the kids deserve that. And I just, yeah, I hope they get justice. I hope this feels like justice for them. With that being said, I had a great month. I had so many good reads. I only had one, maybe two, not super great reads, which I feel like is a win out of 10 books. I loved this month. I had such a great month. Thank you so much for sitting down with me today and listening to me talk about books and what I read in the month of March. Drop a little book stack emoji down below in the comments and let me know what you read this month. I want to talk about it. And if you read any of these books and liked or disliked them, let me know. I like to talk about it. Other than that, stick with me, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when I post, since it's a little random these days. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.